6 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister has underscored the need for strengthening Pakistan-Afghan transit trade arrangement for mutual benefit of the two countries and the region. The Foreign Minister has reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to timely completion of CPAC-related projects. The government has approved Renewable Energy Policy 2019 to produce cheap and clean energy by using indigenous resources. The President says the government is committed to promoting religious tourism, in which Buddhism has a niche due to historic sites in Pakistan. Pakistan has called upon the international community to become the voice of the oppressed children of occupied Kashmir. In Afghanistan, 13 government soldiers and 2 American servicemen have been killed in the Taliban attacks in Kunduz and Logar provinces. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has expressed Pakistan's commitment to facilitate transit trade of Afghanistan. He said this while chairing a meeting to review issues related to Pak-Afghan transit trade in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister directed to ensure that the arrangement is not misused and does not hamper the growth of the Pakistani industry, reiterating that the growth of industry and boosting exports are key priorities for the present government. Imran Khan underscored the need for streamlining Pak-Afghan transit trade arrangement in coordination with the Afghan authorities so as to create a mutually beneficial situation for the two countries and the region. Prime Minister Imran Khan has expressed the confidence that long-term policies of the government will lead to economic stability of the country. Addressing a ceremony of sales tax refunds in Islamabad this evening, he said Pakistan was facing a loss of $19.5 billion when the incumbent government assumed power. The rupee was under pressure and economic indicators were poor. Appreciating the work of the government's economic team in a relative short period of time, the Prime Minister said the currency is now stabilizing and the stock market is continuously improving. Prime Minister Imran Khan says the uplift of the agriculture sector is amongst the top priorities of the government. He was talking to the Federal Minister for National Food Security and Research, Makhdoom Khusro Bakhtiar, in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said the share of the agriculture sector in the GDP, with 50% workforce associated with it, reflects the sector's importance to the country's economy. He said agriculture has been made part of CPAC, and it is the utmost effort of the government to take full benefit from the Chinese expertise in the sector by introducing latest technology and farming techniques. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to timely completion of CPAC-related projects. Addressing a conference on Belt and Road Initiative in Islamabad today, he said a CPAC authority has been established to ensure timely implementation of the corridor projects. The Foreign Minister said we have now entered the second phase of CPAC, which focuses on socio-economic development and industrialization. Shah Mahmood Qureshi said 9 industrial zones are being established to facilitate the foreign investors. The government has approved the Renewable Energy Policy 2019 to produce cheap and clean energy by using indigenous resources. This was announced by the Minister for Power, Omar Ayub Khan, and the Special Assistant on Petroleum, Nadeem Babar, at a news conference in Islamabad today. Omar Ayub was confident that generation of electricity from renewable sources will help bring down the power tariff in future, giving the target set in the policy. The Minister of Power said 8,000 megawatt of power will be produced from renewable sources, including solar and wind, by 2025 and 20,000 megawatt by 2030. He said it does not include the hydel power, and if it is also included, the share of clean and green energy will be 60 to 65%. The President, Dr. Arif Alvi, says the government is committed to promoting religious tourism, in which Buddhism has a niche due to presence of a lot of Buddhist historic sites in Pakistan. He was talking to a Korean delegation led by the president of Yogji Order, Won Heng, in Islamabad today. The president expressed the hope that the visit of the Buddhist delegation from South Korea would promote people-to-people contacts by highlighting the historic, cultural and religious linkages between the two countries. He said Pakistan and the Korean cultural and religious linkages go back to the Buddhist Gandhara civilization to as early as the 4th century AD. Dr. Arif Alvi highlighted the need for further collaboration between the two countries in conservation and promotion of historical Buddhist sites. This is Radio Pakistan. The President, Dr. Arif Alvi, says fraternal relations between Pakistan and Turkey have been transformed into a strong strategic partnership over the time and are growing stronger. He was talking to the Turkish Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yasir Yuler, in Islamabad today. The President appreciated Turkey's support on the Kashmir issue, particularly at the United Nations. He said international community should play a positive role to resolve the Kashmir dispute in accordance with the relevant United Nations resolutions. He also lauded the Turkish government's support to Pakistan on Nuclear Suppliers Group, Financial Action Task Force, and its position on the United Nations Security Council's reforms. Pakistan has called upon the international community to become the voice of the oppressed Kashmiri children of the Indian-occupied Kashmir. In a statement on the occasion of the Universal Children's Day today, the Foreign Office spokesperson urged India to immediately stop its illegal and inhuman policies and practices that are in contravention of its own obligations under the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The spokesperson said, on this day, we must not forget the plight of the children of occupied Kashmir, bearing the brunt of the Indian brutalities. He said the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, the United Nations experts, and international civil society have documented in detail the gross human rights violations committed by the Indian occupation forces in occupied Kashmir against the unarmed children. In occupied Kashmir, the Indian troops, in their unabated acts of state terrorism, have martyred 894 children and shoved thousands into jails during the last 30 years. A report released by the research section of the Kashmir Media Service on the occasion of the Universal Children's Day today revealed that 894 children were among the 95,469 civilians martyred by the Indian troops since January 1st, 1989. The report said the killing of civilians by the troops rendered 107,780 children orphaned in the territory during the period. In Afghanistan, at least 13 Afghan soldiers have been killed and 5 others injured in a Taliban attack on a military base in Kunduz province. Meanwhile, the Taliban shot down an American helicopter in Logar province, killing 2 American servicemen. In a tweet, the Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid claimed that the American Chinook helicopter was completely destroyed last night as it was trying to raid Taliban position in the area. Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Ma Zhaoshu summoned the acting American Chancellor d'Affaires William Klein to lodge a strong protest regarding American legislation supporting Hong Kong. He demanded that the United States should stop meddling with Hong Kong as it is China's internal affair. Earlier, the American Senate unanimously adopted legislation supporting human rights and democracy in Hong Kong and threatening to revoke its special economic status. The lawmakers also banned the sale of tear gas, rubber bullets, and other equipment that have been used by security forces to suppress pro-democracy protests. Cricket. The first cricket test match between Pakistan and Australia will be played at Brisbane from tomorrow. The match will start at 0500 hours Pakistan Standard Time. And finally, the weather. Mainly cloudy weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain thunderstorm is expected at scattered places in southwestern Balochistan, Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir, while at isolated places in Lower Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Upper Punjab and Islamabad. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link, facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.